Often in jewellery I find there are rules that people think. I'm not a fan of the rules. I like to make things that people want to wear, how they want to wear them. My name is Christy. I help people celebrate milestones and special occasions by making jewellery for them. When I first see a client, it's really good to have a bit of a chat with the person and find out what their interests are and why they've come particularly to me, knowing that I custom make pieces. I will do some drawings so that we can have a look at some ideas, and then also I will often make some models so that they can actually see what something might look like, so that will help them make their choice. The materials we end up choosing are based on a number of factors. One is what the piece is, another is how often it's going to be worn, and also definitely budget. In some cases people will come with a very set idea of what they would like. We usually work on that, and again it's the meet in the middle. But occasionally I'll also have people who just come to me and say, make me something, or I've seen the things you make and I'd like you to make me one of those. I guess the beauty of being an individual making jewellery is that I've got complete creative freedom. So once we've worked out what someone would like, we have to decide how we're going to make that. If it's particularly something a little bit chunky, then I will use a combination of recycled metal and new metal and actually melt it down. Melting is a fun part. The piece that you make there, we can put through the rolling mill to make exactly the size and shape of metal required for the job. So at the moment I'm making a piece out of flat plate, which is mostly just saw piercing. Quite often we use a thing called a steel block, which is for flattening plate or making sure that the wire you're working with is nice and straight. It's possible to actually just use pliers on the piece of metal to start with, to make it approximately round. You'll never get it quite spot on, so once you've soldered it together, so you bend it up and then solder it together, and then it goes on a perfectly round piece of steel called a mandrel, which then we hammer that to make it perfectly round. The next process is to file it, so that's to take the rough edges off and make it wearable. And then finally it's polishing, so there are a couple of rounds of polishing to make it super shiny, and ideally once it's been polished you would be able to see your reflection in that. I personally am not trying to make something that is fashionable. I'm trying to make something that will stay with you forever, particularly if we're making something like an engagement ring. I think the other thing is, if someone's coming to me to make a piece, chances are it's probably not something that's throwaway. If you've bothered to have a custom piece made to match a person, then hopefully it will stay with them forever. My favourite part of my job is actually all of it. The beauty of jewellery is that I get to design and make. It's pretty great being able to hand over something to someone that is exactly what they have asked for. That's a pretty great thing too, seeing the joy on people's faces.